The elite operators of the U.S. Special Operations community are tasked with only the most difficult and dangerous missions. The subject featured in the following interview operated within this community and acted as a consultant on the development of Medal of Honor. Their identity has been concealed for security purposes.
I'm a guy with a special forces background. I've been in service in my country for over 15 years. When certain things show up on the table and certain things need to get done, 100% of the guys that you work with can look at that and say, I am the answer to that problem. I always knew that I wanted something different. I wanted to beat my own path, carve my own way. I'll call it fate. I wouldn't want to be doing anything else. I always like to refer to the guys in our community that the candle just burns brighter. There's nothing that's going to satiate this person. The person wants to continue to push, to grow, to evolve as a warrior. It's a Wolfpack mentality. You've got a lot of A-type personalities that tend to want to be the best that they can be. You will smell out the weak. And if you don't keep up with the pack, then you absolutely don't belong. There comes a time when you need to flip the switch, and flipping the switch is game on. That is when the wolves are released. There are moments when you're out in the field and things can be surreal. You have to be absolutely focused. You have to have your A game absolutely all the time. When you're out in the field or you're on an operation, the operation is the focus. We're at war. What are you willing to do?
Somebody asks me what I do for a living, I help people. When I'm on an op, I'm not thinking about anything about the op. Home is at home. What the job is in front of you, that's the only thing that matters at the time. Guys are always going to modify their gear the way that they want to, obviously, but nobody's going to dictate how you carry your magazines or what holster you use. The bottom line is results. If you're on a DA and you're kicking doors and the only thing you're thinking is check your six, give the squeeze, and do your job, once you're in the door, you're thinking A-box shots. A-box shots on shoots, and don't shoot the no-shoots. If everybody's standing, then we're good to go. Let's tackle the next problem. Every man around you has the utmost confidence in you to do your job, and at the same time, you've got to do your job because they're expecting you to. When a mission is successful, you can bet there's a dozen lessons learned that you've taken home. Success within a brotherhood is defined as taking care of your brothers. That's the bottom line. Everybody comes home.
I had a teacher, in high school reading about history, and I remember telling her, because I was kind of a smart ass, and I told her, I don't want to read about somebody else. I want to make history. I want to do it. The kind of character traits that a Tier 1 guy needs to possess, obviously the physicality. He's got to be in good shape. He doesn't have to be the strongest guy, but he's got to be a guy that probably is well above average. Intelligence-wise, they got to be smart guys. In the big Army, you're more of a hammer. It's a large instrument. When you start talking about the Tier 1 elements, it's much more of a scalpel approach. You're trying to do something very surgical. You're trying to do things with the most precise element that you can bring to bear. And a lot of times that can be just a single Tier 1 operator. No telling what he had to do to get to that point so that he could go through that door, so that he could confront a guy with a gun who wants to kill him. And he is going to try to, in a very surgical method, apply the very precise amount of damage to the bad guys without inflicting any damage on the hostages that may be in there. He's risking his life to save somebody else's life. He's doing it at great risk to not only himself, but his teammates. I would rather take a bullet myself than do something stupid that resulted in one of my buddies getting shot. I wish that the public in general could have an understanding of what guys do. Not just what they do operationally, but what they sacrifice for years and years and years in order to be the guy who is at the tip of the spear. For me, I'm not a very sociable person, to be quite honest. Ask my wife. I don't consider a lot of people friends, but if you're any innocent person that's in harm's way, we wanted to be the guys that came and tried to do their best to stop the bully. Some people have got this Hollywood image of what an operator is. It's more than just, I'm a soldier.
I knew some of the folks at EA were interested in working with a specific group of people. They truly wanted an authentic feel to what was going on in the game and how they were going to build the game.
I got it! Go! Go!
I thought it was important to get involved because this game's going to come out one way or another. By me being a part of it, I at least have some say in the way the community gets represented.
They asked me to watch some of the footage and comment on the weapons, comment on some of the tactics.
I look at it as an opportunity to do the right thing and let them see the operator for what he is.
I think they've done their homework. I think it's going to be a whole new experience.
One more. 7.
What would guys say? What would guys be like? How would they act? There's definitely some elements of humor. There are some elements of absolute seriousness. There are also personality aspects which we can inject into the game to add up, to give it a little bit more flavor, but realistic flavor.
We're gonna need a bigger boat.
If I told a story or talked about something half an hour later, I could see the results of what I said taking place on the screen.
Go loud! Go loud!
The games that are currently out there, at least the ones that I've seen, nothing simulates being on a real op. Medal of Honor is going to be different. It's the human side that they're bringing to the soldier and bringing back respect.
People will get a distinct, realistic feel for guys that are operating at those levels. I think they've gone the extra mile trying to figure it out.
We've made some recommendations, some strong recommendations based on things they had in the original storyline. They're extremely receptive. Everything we've asked of them, they've come through.
By them taking on board what we're saying, we're able to influence and be sure things are shown in the proper light and not misrepresented.
I want people to come away with an honest feeling of what it is to be out there and doing some of that stuff.
We do have a say. We do keep it very real, and they do respect the fact that we have sacrificed so much of our lives to become what we are, and we can help them understand what it is all about, what is going on over there.
I first became interested in joining the military about 6 months after high school. I did 4 years with the Rangers, and I heard about this unit. What drove me to go into that unit was the challenge. Any Tier 1 level unit or elite unit that operates at a high level, everybody's superstars in those units. It pushes you harder. I was a team breacher. The roles of a breacher are kind of complex. There's a lot of energy and explosives, and they're very dangerous. Let me be honest with you. Everybody likes to blow stuff up. Your job is a lot more than just putting a charge on a door and just hitting the clacker and detonating the charge. You have to strike that balance between getting entry and safeguarding your team and also the hostages that are inside the buildings. And there's a lot of unknowns. That's always on the mind of the breacher is, did I make the right choice? I would always look at the missions to see what I was required to do, and I'd make modifications to my equipment. We were kind of on the tip of developing and making innovations. It all kind of comes together. War is the mother of invention.
My wife was back home. She was 8.5 months pregnant. When I came home, you can bet I told her, oh baby, all I thought about was you. Were you okay? But that's not the truth. The truth is, I was worried about my guys. I was worried about making the right decisions. She was in good hands with other people. The best way I could help her was to take care of me. We've been married 22 years. I've never told her that. You hear a lot of people talking about combat mindset. It's what distinguishes, I think, special operations people from others is just really the mindset that they do carry. It's not just being physically strong, physically fast. It's not even being smart. It's a combination of attributes, being well-rounded, being willing to take a calculated risk, the tenacity to not quit. You're not thinking about, have I been a good boy and am I going to go to heaven? You've got your mind right and you know that you can do what you're going to be tasked with doing. You've got to be able to go from sitting with your buddies, drinking a beer, to 24 hours later being somewhere in the world, and now suddenly somebody expects you to mount an assault. Big things depend on your actions. Mindset is everything. When I was in high school, I was at some English class or something, getting in trouble in the library. The teacher made me go get a book. I found a book about the frogmen of the Navy. That looked like about the coolest thing that you could do. After that, I was pretty much hooked. In the middle of a firefight, you are so awash with adrenaline, so busy thinking about what you got to be doing, you can't feel anything. The truth of the matter, at least for me, is you're too busy to be scared. I would say the way that you learn to control the adrenaline is just through sheer training. You will do something in training a million times so that on the day, you're doing it automatically. There's several times a month where we would jump starting at midnight. You'd jump like 4 times at night, 4 times in the day. You've done more in that not even a full day yet than most people will ever dream about doing their whole life. And to you, that was nothing. It just becomes, what, doesn't everybody do this? No matter how crazy the situation is, no matter how bad things are going, it doesn't really affect you. It doesn't really fluster you. You still are mentally free. You still got enough hard disk space up here to solve the problem. You know you can do stuff that nobody else can do, and to you it's just business as usual.
As I grew up in the teams, I understood that it started with me, it became about us, and as I became an officer, then I understood that I was a mentor for all these young men. The best advice ever given to me as a leader was from a master chief. Make sure you take some guys that are troubled, because you'll never understand how to lead, and you'll never understand what leadership is until you have to lead somebody that needs leadership. And I took that on board. And so when I selected people, I had some troublemakers. I want the individuals that are underneath me to be like the individuals that I admired who were above me, so that they could go through their careers and pass that on down to the next generation. We are unique in that we have a job, and that job is perhaps not popular, but it is a human activity. It has been with us since the very beginning of time, and it will continue to be with us until we exist no more. There are guys that do like war, and they're good at it. There's no such thing as a utopia. There are evil people in the world, and they need to be dealt with handily.